So please join me in welcoming Emanuel Bertolin and the panel to stage.
Thanks, Lori. Well, good afternoon, and welcome to Thrive, everyone. So this morning, Nick, Renee, our tech leadership team, all talked about strategies, programs, visions of where the world's going. I'm going to bring us down, to the grounded level a bit and have a panel with three people that have done some remarkable things in their organization and are running marketplaces and dealing with complex issues every day in trying to actually execute everything we talk about in these sessions. We've got a lot to talk about, so I'm going to introduce these people and get them on stage right away. Let me welcome Story Monforte from Infor, Nicholas Spies from Deutsche Telekom, and Susan Reedmiller from Archer. All right, let's sit down. Let's get at this. So, well, first of all, welcome and thank you all for doing this. Always really insightful for our audience to, have real world insights. Interesting, we were just talking backstage, and all of us have been with our respective companies for more than a decade. Which is rare in this world, and I thought that was an interesting, but my point is we have some veterans here who really understand their companies and their strategies. But as Lori mentioned, self-serve is a really big topic right now. And, we want to kind of, look past the buzzword and try to really understand, what trends are within your organizations are kind of capturing self-serve and how we're, really investing in it at each of your companies. So Susan, let's start with you. What's happening in your world?
So I work for Archer, which is an enterprise risk and compliance software company. And a lot of our sales today are going and utilizing account representatives. And so we've started our journey really by implementing a marketplace to handle more of our add-ons and our value add capabilities. So it allows our clients to be able to come and self-serve and add on to the value that they get from our software.
Yeah, and this is a common use case that we see, obviously, right? The add-on store, the ecosystem of partners. Very interesting. Nicholas, Deutsche Telekom is one of our probably first marketplace customers, or amongst the first for AppDirect. You've been running our platform for well over a decade. Tell us a little bit about your perspective.
Yeah, so at DT, as a telco company, we traditionally, we're a very sales-driven, direct sales-driven organization. And actually also the incentive systems very much tailored for direct sales. So this self-serve trend has been quite a journey for us, and we've actually come a long way in B2C. We now have a self-service app that's actually the same across our entire footprint, so the European countries and also here with our colleagues in T-Mobile US. And there's local flavors, of course, but the app kernel is identical. In B2B, we're still very much in the middle of the journey, yeah? And the primary goals that we have is, first of all, create what we call more active selling time for our salespeople, because it frees them from working with the tools, and they can spend more time having a conversation with our customers and also consulting them on the products. Yeah. And the second goal is actually to create cross-selling opportunities for our customers and bundle products with our core telco services, like mobile and fixed line. And by the way, I have no idea what Renee meant with telco services are sexy once again. Yeah, I felt very sexy this whole time.
You mean they've always been sexy, right? Is that the key? I got it. Awesome. Story, tell us a little bit about Infor's journey.
Yeah, sure. So Infor is a ERP company. We manufacture software that runs the companies that are from 20 people all the way up to the biggest companies in the world. And we've been on this journey for over 3 years now. And much like Susan, we're also very focused on all of the independent software makers that bolt on to our core software. So that's what we've really been focused on, is providing more visibility of those software providers, the additional capability that adds to our core offering, and it allows our salespeople to just focus on our Infor software, but still gives customers visibility of the entire ecosystem. So that's been our focus.
Interesting. Susan, back to you. Like, when you think of strategies or experiments that you've had, what has actually started to drive self-serve usage from your perspective? Or is it early on and you're not sure? I mean, and that's a good answer too. Right?
So we are early on, but we really seeded our marketplace with things that we had built first. Trying to get our clients interested in understanding what the kind of that model looks like, of the self-serve model. And from there, we are sort of building out the capability to begin to resell our partners' offerings as well. So, and we're starting to gain more momentum there. It was nice to kind of start with some of our more popular offerings and start that buying kind of mentality on the marketplace, because it really started to show our partners there's valid interest, there's a lot of people that are interested in continuing down that path, and it's given us a little bit of excitement and moving us forward quickly.
It's interesting, with enterprise software, like your deals are not $10 a month licenses. We're talking large software packages. And it's really interesting to me, as we explore this conversation about self-serve, to think about, how do you, self-serve large enterprise software? Will that ever happen, in a true sense, or is it something that is more of a follow-on feature type of solution?
Well, we're really starting with kind of that mentality of being kind of at the end of that life cycle and providing those add-on capabilities after they've made those purchases. But we're starting to lean more into earlier life cycle capabilities. We're looking at potentially in the future, potentially using, this as a mechanism for renewals, and then also utilizing the marketplace technology as a place to start with a little bit down market from the enterprise capabilities, more in that middle market opportunity and prospects.
Yeah, interesting. Nicholas, what about you? What strategies because you guys are pretty far along in your journey, and you do sell products that are more, I would say, transactional in nature.
Yeah, true. So what's been working really well for us has been educating our customers on self-service opportunities once they have become customers. So as of today, we still have around about 90% actually assisted sales quota for first-time sales. And then we can use that opportunity to make customers more familiar with the self-service experience. And we actually have around about 60% self-service in recurring sales and renewals right now. So this has been working good.
I mean, 60 is not an insignificant percentage of follow-on. So that's probably created some interesting challenges along the way. Is it generally viewed as a really positive thing, though, from all the groups?
I would say so. And now we need to take the next step and try to also win new customers with the self-service experience.
So grow that 10% that you
exactly.
have. Yeah. Interesting. Story, what about you in the strategy side for self-service?
Yeah, I would say two things. First of all, we're still focused on our initial and main priority, which is just building out the ecosystem, where rather than having our customers think of the marketplace as, oh, that's neat, it is the place they by default go to. And so you do reach a tipping point based on a number of offerings where it becomes the de facto place to go to. So we still continue to focus on building out a large set of options for our customers so it becomes a de facto place to look for those solutions. The other aspect is with 80% of purchasing being done on the internet before a salesperson even talks to anyone, regardless of whether it's assisted or self-serve, having that rich description of these solutions in something like a marketplace allows you to be able to educate the customer and be ready for the conversation, even if it is assisted.
This is an incredibly important point, and I've heard this from so many of our customers, that a lot of times we underestimate the importance of the marketplace in the education of the products and all the work the marketplace does. The transaction may not happen in a self-serve function because, again, that human element at the end is important, but the marketplace adds so much value in terms of, educating and assisting the buying journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, look, let's follow on this conversation story. So when you think about, the customer life cycle, and when it comes to, reducing churn, and does self-serve help with that?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely does. We look at the entire, customer journey, right? So even though a purchase action, in our case, still typically happens through more of an assisted sales motion.
Right.
That's not the entire life cycle. So what we want to do is really just reduce the overall friction. And so one of the things we're doing, for example, is we have a heavy emphasis on auto-provisioning aspects. So even after the purchase is done, if it takes a couple days or a week to get your software, it's still not an optimal journey. So by us being able to auto-provision the software, it reduces the friction, and we believe it will also reduce the churn.
Yeah, look, in the subscription economy, that initial sale is really just the start of a journey, right? Which is why lifecycle management is so important. And I think you're right. People measure that responsiveness and the journey right from the start, right? So from the one click, that's not the end point. That's the start of the journey. And I think a lot of times we forget that. And so lifecycle management is a critical component to managing the subscription. How does DT think about it?
I think that self-service is actually both a risk and also an opportunity for us, because it's a risk because, as Nick already highlighted this morning, it does add to declining switching costs, and it also makes churning, less emotional because you don't need to talk to an agent anymore. However, it's also an opportunity because, by creating a superior customer experience, then we will convince customers to stick with us. And also by bundling with telco services, we are able to offer something that the competition cannot, and we can create customer stickiness with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things I think you pointed out that are really interesting, right? One is that emotional connection, and when you move to a fully digital experience, then you're right. Churn does become a bigger issue, and I think that's something that a lot of people will have to consider in their strategies, obviously going forward. The other part I think that we all have to sort of wrestle with in churn management is what kind of bundles really actually prevent churn, right? Because I think there's been lots of attempts at bundling products, and I'm not sure, there's probably a secret sauce of what bundles actually, create stickiness versus just, I bought two things together, right? I'm not sure that really does it. How does Archer think about, the whole churn management and lifecycle management?
We're really thinking about it in terms of, well, for Archer as an enterprise sale, we have longer contract cycles, right? 3 to 5 year contract cycles oftentimes. And so we, by enabling kind of this B2B capability, and that one-click kind of capability, it allows us to get in front of that client before and give them an option for expanding the value that they have of our software prior to that 3 or 5 year conversation that those sales reps are going to have. So this gives us an opportunity to really get that value out in front of them very quickly and help deliver that quickly and in between their cycles. Cycles.
Yeah. I mean, when you have long contract cycles, if you don't have that touch point, I mean, that could,
right.
That's a missed opportunity in terms of cross-selling for sure. Nicholas, let's talk about the one-click buy. I mean, you're probably the closest to the transactional model of thinking about this. In B2C, it's table stakes, right? We have to do it. Is it ever going to happen in B2B? Do you think it is something that we're going to see a lot, or where does it differ?
Yeah, actually, I think one-click buy isn't really a thing in B2B, because most of the time the products will be more complex, maybe too complex for one-click buy. There's frame contracts in place. There's hierarchical decision-making in our customers' organizations. And all of that kind of works against one-click buy. But that doesn't mean there's not an opportunity to simplify and also streamline purchasing processes. Because what I do think we're going to see is, and we've also talked about a lot about this morning, is AI agents taking over this function. So probably instead of one-click buy, in B2B, we will see AI buy, because it doesn't actually matter how many clicks it takes, because it won't be the customers performing those clicks. It'll be an AI agent doing it for them in a smart way and basically augmenting the customer experience. And personally, I'm really convinced that it will not take long, probably not even 2 years, and we will see a shift from our customers talking to a bot, saying, can I please talk to an actual person? Going to talking to an actual person, saying, can I please talk to the bot? Because the bot just knows more and gets things done quicker.
Doesn't ask how I'm feeling today and that sort of stuff.
Maybe it can learn that. And that's why I like to call it the B2Bot economy, because I think it's going to be a game changer. And it's going to be a lobster moment for
the lobster moment. So the B2Bot, I like that. I mean, it's kind of like, well, won't it actually be a bot to bot? Like, I see how this is going to play out. Like, my bot's going to talk to your bot. They're going to sort it out.
Yeah.
We're going to go play golf.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
But I do think you're right. Like the sense, there's products out there, CPQ products, configure, price, quote, I'm not supposed to use acronyms, that really assist with complex product orchestration that really, for enterprise solutions and enterprise software, are pretty necessary for many products. So the idea of a one-click buy is definitely possible, and I think if SKUs are managed well in marketplaces and products are managed much more simplistically, which everybody strives to do, it is possible. Story, what do you think?
Yeah, no, first of all, I agree that, especially on the assisted sales side, that bots will help us be more efficient in that area, will provide valuable information. Again, it goes back for us of looking at the entire life cycle. So where we've spent the majority, I would say 80% of our investment over the last 12 months has been in just automating and integrating into all of our backend systems. So as a ERP software company, we don't allow credit card transactions, as an example. We still invoice. But the ability for us to automatically get the order, send it to our back-end legacy billing and invoicing system, getting that sent to the customer, then triggering order management to then do that automated provisioning cycle, those are a very large set of complex, not only technical integrations, but also governance issues that we've really focused to simplify the buying journey for the end customer. So that's been our end focus, is not necessarily the initial one-click buy, but as you go through the journey, just simplifying everything for the end customer.
Yeah, it speaks back to the life cycle, right? And it becomes a workflow, which is which sometimes involves the customer in that workflow. So
Yes.
so you exactly. So you have to think that through. And Susan, what about your concepts on one-click purchase? Do you think we'll see it?
I hope to. I think we've experienced a few of our clients that are starting to utilize the buy now kind of capability. We still have a lot of enterprise clients that still need to be able to pass a purchase order through the procurement
Right.
systems. So our clients are starting to walk through that journey as well.
Well, let's carry on thinking about this, Susan. So many of us have come, and when we thought about marketplaces, it was an assisted sales model. Mm-hmm. And what's been the hardest, or maybe the most surprising thing for you trying to shift from assisted sales to self-serve?
For us, I think in moving from assisted sales to self-serve, I think I've been very surprised at how truly interested and passionate people are about wanting to obtain the offerings that we have, and they are very, very driven to obtain it. I think one of the things that I was surprised, we thought a lot of our offerings would be sold through a direct model. And what we're finding is that folks that are our clients that are purchasing through indirect distributors or resellers are just as interested, if not more interested, in a lot of the things that we have from a value add perspective on our marketplace.
So it makes it challenging when you have that distributor layer in the middle and you have people accessing a marketplace or seeing the possibilities and yet being somewhat restricted potentially.
Correct.
Yeah, very interesting.
That's some of the hardest things we're dealing with is the internal change management of go-to-market, channel management, making sure everyone has mutual benefit in the end result.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that everybody, struggles with is because you're changing your go-to-market motion. Yes. And when you do that, there's a lot of impacts and a lot of unintended consequences sometimes. I know often, when I've talked to platform customers, compensation comes up as a topic, and a huge problem where sales start happening through a marketplace into accounts that are owned by sales reps, and they're like, wait a minute, am I getting compensated for this? And that's a really, I don't think there's an easy answer that everybody's resolved on that, and every company is trying to deal with different ways to deal with that. Is that something that you've seen at DT as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably the hardest part
really
that we've had is getting our direct sales organization to embrace self-service as an opportunity rather than a threat. Because and we were able to address that by adjusting the incentive schemes. Because if self-service is a lost sale for the direct sales team, then that really very much works against the concept. And we tried some different approaches, and we're able to figure out a way on how also make direct sales profit from those online sales. So that was the hardest part. The most surprising actually was that we learned that if you have a really innovative product on the self-service store, it's amazing to what length customers will go to order it. At one time, we were introducing a pure self-service telco fixed line service. So customers were able to purchase it online, and with automatic provisioning, the entire fixed line service, including zip trunks, were being set up. But we still had some glitches in that product. So it was actually not ready for sales, and we had shut it off. But there was a customer who actually found a way to order it, even though it was not for sale. He went to great lengths to figure out how he could basically sidestep the process. Yeah? So this was a sign for us that there's actually demand that you can address. Yeah.
And I think demand is probably, it's a really good point, because I think demand is probably not going to be the problem. I think all the studies indicate that people will want to buy through a digital channel. It's really a question of, can we fulfill that desire, right, with the complexities, especially as we talk about B2B commerce. I really wonder, when you look at these sort of surprising things, you know, if there's going to be more surprises, or do you think we understand where it's going? Any thoughts on that story?
There'll always be surprises, that's for
Yeah.
sure. One thing I've learned in the 4-year journey is you resolve one thing, but 2 other things pop up.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not all negative, right? Like some of these challenges are really, truly interesting. So when you think about prior to the marketplace, we had opportunities to have these third parties being sold through Infor, on our paper, through our price books. But to make everyone happy, we would have to take 50% margin. What the marketplace has allowed us to do is really have a variety of go-to-market and business models that allows us to attract a larger number of these third parties to participate. And that's been exciting. That's been a really exciting challenge for me and my team to solve. So there's the good and the bad of these complexities.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, we're coming up in the less than 5 minutes or so. So I'd like to kind of have a rapid fire one question. I'm going to ask each of you to give, you know, if you had to pick, you know, one self-serve capability that every B2B marketplace operator is going to need in the next 12, 24 months, what's it going to be? Nicholas, let's start with you.
Sure. Agentic AI support for quote and order processes. If you don't have that, you'll be dead in the water.
Yeah, so basically you're saying that the marketplace experience has to be, you know, very much supported with AI agentic support through every part of the journey, in your opinion?
Well,
like which part's most important?
Eventually, yes, the
Yes.
entire journey. But I think, you know, we'll start with the beginning of the process, which is, you know, quoting, opportunity flow, and ordering.
And product education.
Yes, exactly.
And those
And then I
parts.
think eventually we'll work down to the end.
All
of
the
the
way
process.
through.
Yeah.
All the way through. Susan?
I agree. I'm anxious to see what agentic AI will do for the end user. But I'm also interested in how we're going to work with other distributed models with the indirect capabilities with distributors and resellers, as they were talking about this morning as well.
Yeah, there's some interesting things coming that I think will support those roadmaps. Story, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, they took my answers, but I will add, I think augmentation of the data in your listings becomes extremely important for self-service. So we're getting challenged day in, day out over data residency requirements, over supply chain security requirements, meaning the person that built that software, are they a trusted resource? Also remember that these LLMs have to take the data from somewhere. So the more we fill out and have complete data structures within our listings, the more they can be found both by SEO, by LLMs, and if you truly want to do self-service, the more of this information your customers are going to be demanding from you over the coming months.
Awesome. Well, look, I'd really like to thank the three of you for sharing your insights. You know, I think marketplaces are an evolution that we've seen for the last decade, and I think they're going to continue evolving. My suspicion is that the next 12 months are going to see more evolution and change than probably the prior decade, and we all know why. And so this has been really insightful. I appreciate a lot the three of you taking the time to speak with me and sharing your insights with the audience. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.